Welcome to the Xbox Podcast. It's 2022. We're in January. This is our second show of the new year. And if you're a new or returning viewer, welcome. The only podcast straight from Xbox. We drop each Friday. YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all those amazing places. You don't just get me, you get the gang. There's Jeff over there on your left, Rebecca over there on your right, and everybody's here. Hey, gang, how you guys doing?
Slow week.
Yeah, just not much going. I was like, and we were going back and forth. We were all texting. Should we do a show? We don't really have much to talk about. Yeah, no, we got a lot to talk about, don't we? In fact, one of the big news. In fact, we usually talk about what we're playing and things about that. So I've been doing all the talking. So maybe we should talk a little bit about that. Rebecca, hello, New York.
Hello from New York. I haven't been playing a ton this week. Like I mentioned last week, I've been playing Overcooked 2 with my roommate and some friends. Great couch co-op game. Got to try Nobody Saves the World, which, spoiler alert, is out on Steam, Xbox, and Xbox Game Pass. And I actually met with Ian from Drinkbox Studios. So I look forward to that interview a little bit later. It's a pretty cool game. RPG, some different tabletop elements. You can change forms. It has a kind of I don't want to say dark sense of humor, but kind of like a zany sense of humor throughout the game. So it's pretty cool, but I'll talk more about it later.
All right, that's cool.
That's cool. A great team. Their first game Drinkbox, they made, you might have played Guacamelee 1 and 2, which were really awesome Metroidvanias that had a cool style and really nailed the combination of, I would say the Metroidvania traversal and combat. It's excellent game. Check either of them out if you haven't already, because I love them. But their first game was Mutant Blobs Attack,
right?
Which I think it did eventually. It was an early ID at Xbox game. I'd played it when it first came out on PS3, and I got to meet a number of folks over there. And they just have a very fun, cartoony art style, but they really nail the gameplay. And that's so I'm definitely looking forward to playing Nobody Saves the World.
Yeah, you'll see. In fact, Rebecca, thank you for doing that interview. We'll roll that later on. You'll see a lot of the gameplay. So we kind of go through, talk about some of the crazy characters there. And then, Jeff, I see what you have over your shoulder there. A little bit of a cutscene, one of the other big games in Game Pass this week, right?
Yes. Rainbow Six Extraction, a day one entrant into Xbox Game Pass and Game Pass for PC. And we got to play this last week. And go on, Larry.
Not only did we get to play it, and Rebecca, you weren't around when we played this. We played it completely wrong.
Oh my God. So I feel like we're kind of in a new golden age of cooperative shooters. And with many of them in Game Pass, like Aliens Fireteam and Back 4 Blood. We went into this kind of like Back 4 Blood. And Back 4 Blood, what I've really enjoyed about it when we were playing it all in the fall, was this was like the game where, oh, friends are in it. Let's catch up. How you been?
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in a while. Oh, by the way, we're just chewing through hordes of zombies.
It's kind of mindless, right? We're just kind of, the gameplay's in the background, to your point. Not that this is, but this game is completely opposite. Like, we dropped in, Rebecca, and we're like, okay, we kind of see somebody over there. Okay, let's go. And we go running into the building, and I don't think anybody came out.
So the way it works, it's significantly more tactical. It's a game where you need a game plan. You check your corners. You can actually deploy a drone, it kind of looks like cell phone on wheels to go through.
You've seen this in the previous Rainbow Sixes. You can go through and whatnot.
You spot where these aliens are, and you mark them. And the key things are there's these nests that can spawn new ones. Obviously, you need to take them out. But when you're quiet, you go in, you surgically eliminate these different nests or aliens or whatever. You're under control. Once it hits the fan, though, you got to start making snap decisions. And let's just say we were not graceful under pressure
at all.
We were pretty wiped out. And so the levels are sort of divided into sections, and you pick out these different operators that have different skills. I was using a medic, as I typically do. One of them could spot different characters from a far distance. Some can sort of clean up this slime that's on the floor that slows you down. And when you make it to the next section, you can sort of regroup a little bit and re-ammo up and stuff like that. We made it past the first section. One of us made it through. I think what you can do is if someone gets knocked out, then they sort of like are encased in like protective styrofoam, and you can sort of like throw them in a like it's not
Wait
a
a
dumpster,
minute,
but it kind of is like a dumpster.
You're missing the fact is that I will be completely honest. I'm the one who went down first, and it's not like you can go down once, but if you get taken down second time, then you're out. And when you're out, as Jeff said, you're encased in this. You look like a mummy, right? You're encased in this, looks like gauze. But that's it. But somebody has to carry you out to the revive machine, which in some cases, I think, Jeff, you carried me out for a little bit. And Will from The Wire was our other third player. He carried me out. But it was brutal.
But at the end, what happened is at some point, I just like, because when you're holding them, then you can only use your sidearm.
Yep.
And I ran out of ammo in my sidearm. You have to be a little smarter. And at some point, I just dropped Larry and ran and managed to make it out. And then what happens is that operator has to be rescued in a future one. So it's not like, we'll get him next time.
Yeah, he doesn't respawn at the beginning. He's still in there.
Yeah.
I'm still in there.
Exactly. So you'd have to choose a different character and go in and like rescue and like properly rescue them and have them sort of be medevaced out. And I want to give this another go, but we just have to be smarter, more patient, more quiet, and not just be like talking about our day. You know?
Yeah, you have to. This game needs to be in the front of your thinking, not in the back of your thinking. And I'm sure once we get there, we'll figure it out. But just like with any new game, we've all played that new game, and it's you got to figure it out. But to Jeff's point, once they carried me out, there's a revive. It's almost like the Bactopod in Boba Fett, right? You drop me in this thing,
good point.
right? Yeah. You drop me in this thing, and maybe I'm floating in something, I don't know. But and you have to revive, and it's not like revive. It's actually taken some time, right? Right, Jeff?
Yeah. There's plenty of times your back is constantly against the wall in this. Once things go down, and so I did watch just to see what other folks I knew other reviewers had it. And I watched a stream from Kind of Funny where Andy Cortez, who is a fantastic shooter player, seen him play a lot of Halo. He was joined by Snowbike Mike. And I was like, oh, these guys are playing an entirely different game.
Okay, actually, would you mind if I read the text, Jeff?
Go on.
A couple days ago, he says, so apparently he's been talking to, this is Jeff texts to me about Rainbow Six. He says, we rushed it a bit. People I spoke to with it are digging in. We are playing it wrong. 2 run and gun. That's what it says. And I said, we have to play it slow. He says, yes, we need to be clinical, check the corners. And I said, like Splinter Cell slow? He says, perhaps. So we played it wrong. We're saving you. Trust me, we're saving you angst right now. Go slow.
Look, if you want to run and gun, there are those games. Actually, Anacrusis just came out last week. And I haven't played it yet, but it seems like a real swift, have fun and just not think too much. If you want to be more tactical, this is your game, and it looks great. And so we just need to get good, I guess. Rebecca, will you help us get good?
Yeah, it sounds fun. I mean, I definitely like when I play co-op games like this, like I try to go on the slower end, and I feel like I'm always the one kind of picking up the slack at the end. So if you guys want to do a more thorough playthrough, I'd love to join this weekend.
Yeah, and it's, again, this is in the theme here, the umbrella of, it's on Game Pass. It's now available on Game Pass. I'm going to talk to one of the level designers later on in the show. So check it out, Rainbow Six Extraction on Game Pass right now. So all you and all your Game Pass friends can download it and check it out.
So anything else happened this week?
Let's see.
No news.
Snow
really.
in the Northeast.
My bank account is $68.5 or $69 billion less right now.
Did you pick that up, Larry?
Anyway, as you probably saw, the big news this week was we have an intent to acquire Activision Blizzard. Microsoft is going to, so that's really exciting for us. Now, I'm sure you're tuning into this, and the comments are going to fill people. Oh, we want to know X, Y, and Z, and all these details. And the reality is, this is going to take a while. This is, money-wise, it's the biggest deal Microsoft's ever purchased. We were talking about that. And somebody told me it was the biggest deal in the tech industry. I don't know if that's actually true.
Oh, interesting.
But in any event, it's a lot of money. And there's a lot of a lot of work that needs to be done before it's finalized. And that's all we can really say right now. As you can imagine, there's lawyers and regulators, and there's a lot of, I don't want to say hoops, but there's a lot of work to be done before this is done. I think that's a good way of putting it. Right, guys?
And then once that's done, then we can talk more, right?
Yeah, then we can talk more.
Until
so just,
then,
if you're tuning in, you're not going to get any, you're not going to hear about anything really, more about what we're planning on doing, because we don't know yet. We have to wait until, the ink is dry. Okay, it's like when you point at a house and go, oh, we want to buy that house and we don't own it yet and we move in. We can't move in yet. Okay, we're not there. So once that happens and the deal is closed, I'm sure we will have plenty to talk about, and we'll have some guests on the show, and looking forward to everybody at Activision and Blizzard joining the Xbox team, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we know a lot of people there. Rebecca, do you know anybody at Activision Blizzard? You must have some friends there.
I have a couple friends, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And Jeff, I know you as well. So it's going to be exciting to, have a reunion with old friends and create new ones. So that's really the most important thing.
It's going to be very exciting. I think, we all have a backlog, and sitting in my backlog, I think pinned is there's a couple. I always love the Call of Duty campaigns, and I know I can go to them whenever, and I have them all because I picked them all up in the last couple of years. But I think I'm like 2 behind now. I need to play the most recent Black Ops campaign. Now I feel like very motivated to go do that. So I'm gonna be catching up pretty soon.
Well, we got a lot to catch up on, but yeah, so we're excited about that. And again, as things continue and progress and things get closer to when it's going to be finalized, we'll have more details, or at least I can share more. But right now, there's nothing more to say except we're excited. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, you put it pretty well.
If you want to look at details, everything that's out there is on. There's 2 places. One is on Xbox Wire. That's going to be pinned to the top of news.xbox.com for some time. And then over on Microsoft.com, there's the press release, which talks about a little bit more of the businessy side. I'm sure if you listen to the show, you've probably already seen all of this stuff. But if you want to see, comments from Phil wrote the blog post on Xbox Wire. Really interesting to see his thoughts and to see what the gaming leadership team looks like on Xbox. We've got a nice image there. It's just really cool.
I have a little story, and I think I told this one to you, Jeff, because last week I was here in my office and I was playing, maybe I was waiting to play Halo, waiting for you, Jeff, or I don't know, maybe I think I was playing the Pedestrian because I've been into that lately. And I went through and I got an invite from Phil, a game invite for, I think what we were playing, something on Spelunky 2. And so we joined Spelunky 2, we get in the game party and we're talking and we're chatting. And we're talking about our holiday, and I couldn't tell, but there was something the way Phil was talking. I was like, something's going on, something big. And I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. And sure enough, here we are. So, but I can just say this. Phil is an amazing person to work with. He is, seriously, if you follow him on Xbox Live, he games all the time. He plays. He knows the game loops. He knows he worked in studio, so he knows all of that. But yeah, it's great to have him as the CEO of gaming here at Xbox. It's just amazing.
Was he propping you up on Spelunky too?
We were just running. He killed me a couple times. I killed him a couple times. Again, that was one of those examples, Jeff, of the game. We were just talking, and the game was in the background, and that's what happened. It was just kept dying. We're just trying to figure it out. We're having fun. So
you have to really
just reminded me of something.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I've only played with Phil a couple times. I think we ran a raid in Destiny. I think we did. Was it Oryx or Crota? The second one ever, and that was very intimidating because I had just started here. But we also played when Rainbow Six Siege, which is out on Game Pass for both PC and console. Want to make sure you know that. Separate from Extraction, which is of course also available on both. We jumped in on Xbox One when it came out, and we ended up playing with Phil.
Right.
And that's a very tense game. And as you recall, it was 2 different groups of what we were like 6 of us.
Yeah.
And I was tense as it was because it's a tense game. I'm also tense because we're playing with Phil.
Playing with the boss.
And we were going down. Yeah. And we were going down. We were like in a basement and we were on defense, I think, waiting for another group to come in.
I think I remember this.
My hand was on the trigger and it was like, I had like a single shotgun. Boop. I hit him. I shot him in the back. Didn't knock him out, but just one like sort of like shot. And Phil just goes, "Did somebody shoot me?" And I don't. I think I just muted my mic. I don't think I said anything, and he knows.
He knows.
And if he doesn't know, then he knows now.
He
But
knows.
I'm sorry, Phil. I'm sorry that happened. Let me make that.
But anyway, he's what I'm getting at is, he is, and Jeff and I and Rebecca, we know a lot of people in the games industry, but he is one of the most incredible leaders. He's a gamer himself. He just cares about putting gamers at the center. You hear him say that, and it's all true, right, Jeff? You've been in meetings, Rebecca. You've been in meetings with him. I've been in meetings with him where he's like, yeah, this is, he thinks about it just like anybody else does, just like gamers do. So. Anyway,
a lot of times if I have meetings, he's just like, "What are you playing?" And we have that's the conversation.
That's the icebreaker.
That's the icebreaker, exactly. So that's always a fun conversation.
So in fact, I'm trying to get him on. I'll get him on the show in the future to talk more about this because he, I sent him an email. He's like, "Oh, I can't really," like I said a moment ago, can't really say too much. So when he can say something, I want to get him on. So
all right,
stay
but
tuned.
you did get some people on, and it ties in with another piece of news that came out this week on Tuesday. Obviously, the reverberations from the Activision Blizzard deal, continued on. I mean, it continued on as we record this. But a couple hours later, we announced the late January releases for Xbox Game Pass.
Yes.
When I saw this list, I was just like, Game Pass does not miss. And so there was some really great stuff. So I just wanted to call out a couple of the titles here.
Please
I don't know if you've got this stuff handy over on on Xbox Wire, but one of the games that is it's certainly in the running for Game of the Year last year, Death's Door, is available for cloud, console, and PC as of the time you're listening to this, January 20th. And that is a huge ad. Nobody Saves the World, as we're going to hear Rebecca talking to Drinkbox. Rainbow Six Extraction, of course, as we've been talking about. A couple other games that jumped out at me. I think this is the first of the Danganronpa games to appear on Xbox. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's Trigger Happy Havoc. That's available now. And the Hitman trilogy. Larry, you got really into these Hitman games, right?
I did.
This is all like the Hitman. It's almost like a platform. They even integrate them really well into so you can play missions from previous Hitmen. All in sort of one thing. There you go. This is pretty awesome.
I'm just keeping the graphic up here for those of you watching the video. This is a graphic of what Jeff is kind of going through, and I'll leave it here for a second while you walk through the titles.
I normally don't go through every game, but I think we should. Yeah, go on, Rebecca.
No, I was just gonna say I've played a couple of these. They're pretty good. Like,
did you play Paparazzi?
No, I didn't, but it looks just up my alley. Have either of you?
No, but I've read about it. You've got puppies and you have to take pictures of them. So, okay.
Sounds like real life, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So another game that I think is very interesting is Taiko no Tatsujin, the Drum Master. These
That's
Taiko
on the bottom here.
drums. Yeah, it looks sort of like it's not a watermelon. It's a drum. It's a very happy drum.
No, it is Jeffrey, you're right. It's a very happy drum.
So these games I played in the arcade in Japan when I went to Japan like a long time. This is like these sort of like drumming games. And so I'm very interested in trying that out. And then Windjammers 2. And I was like, thinking back, I'm like, I feel like I've heard the name.
That feels like a sailing game, and it doesn't look like a sailing game because
it's almost like a Tron disc game or something like that. The original one came out, as I was looking it up this morning, in 1994 for Neo Geo. I mean, that is like that. They've been sitting on this for like 25 years and
right?
Now, So I just thought it was really interesting. So
worthy
if they're coming
successor
back after that long.
Yeah,
I'm interested in trying it out. And it's in Game Pass, so why not?
I mean, just look at this. This is just Game Pass this month. I mean, this is
that's just the second half of the month.
That's the second half of the month, right? Forgot.
Wow.
Well, so two of as you said a moment ago, two of those titles in Rainbow Six Extraction and Nobody Saves the World, we have some interviews for. Now, Jeff, would you mind bringing us into those interviews for us?
Exactly. First of all, we're going to have Larry speaking with Marc-Andre Claremont from Ubisoft about Rainbow Six Extraction. Hopefully some good tips on how to be better operators than we are. And then we're going to hear a lot from Drinkbox, from Ian Campbell, who is the lead designer at Drinkbox Studios. And let's find out if you're that nobody who's going to save the world.
Rainbow Six Extraction is now available on Xbox Game Pass. Very excited about it. Many other platforms as well. Joining me is one of the level designers, Marc-Andre Clermont. Marc, how are you? It's nice to see you today.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. I'm doing good.
Exciting time for you because the title has is now out and it's available. Tell us a little bit about what the game is about, because I mean certainly Rainbow Six has such a history on Xbox, but I'd like to talk to you, and I've got some gameplay to show it. So just walk us through what this game is all about, if you would, please.
Well, this game is really about the Rainbow Six team going against this new threat, the Parasite, that's taken over. And really, it's a first-person tactical game, first-person tactical shooter. It's really about going in either by yourself or with your team against this new threat. But again, this time, your guns are not enough. You want to bring your A game, but your A game might not be only your guns. It's really about using your gadgets, your team to its full potential, and all those kinds of things.
You know, it's interesting. I had a chance to play it a few days ago, right before it came out, and it is a very different type of game in that with Rainbow Six, they've always been tactical. But this time, it's a different level. Like, we decided we were going to go in and run and gun, and that did not work. I mean, game was over pretty darn quick. What are some of the tips you can give us as folks are suiting up that are familiar with Rainbow Six? What are some tips you can give us to get ready to take on the enemy?
Well, for sure, I can understand where you're going. Like, this game really has a lot of challenge, the tactical aspect of it, but also the lethality. Everything can go down very quickly. So make sure that you take your time, try to keep the control as long as you can. Of course, try to bring the proper synergy between your operators and your friends as you go in, making sure that you can cover all the angles. Take the opportunity to mark, to observe, taking down those enemies before the alert goes off is going to make a huge difference. And make sure that you take away, if ever the alert goes on, make sure you take care of the nest as quick as possible, because otherwise they will make you pay the price.
Now, tell us about, as the level design director, and I want to go back to some of the gameplay here because the levels are very interesting. What are you looking for as you're crafting these levels? Because they're rather intricate. They're not the standard video game level, which is point A to point B. There's lots of pathways here, right?
Absolutely. And in our case, we really want to go with the procedural nature of the levels. At first, when we started back in the day, we started with a more linear experience, and we went and said, this is not the game that we need to do. We're trying to do this tactical experience. And tactical is really about exploring, making sure that you take the time and observe, and you face different threats every time. So the objectives are going to be different. The location of those objectives is going to be different. And every time you go in, the map, all maps are made out of 3 sub-maps. The orders of them sub-maps is going to be different. The order that you go in is also going to be different as well. So that as a team, you have some knowledge of what you're going to be facing against. Maybe some knowledge, like you know which objective and what order you're going to be, but you don't know where they're going to be. You don't know where what order they're going to be. You don't know the position. You don't know which enemies you're going to be facing. So this is really about the tactical aspect, making sure that there's the proper amount of unknown, and making sure as a player, you go in and you face those different challenges every single time.
Now, you talked about the procedural nature of these levels. And for those folks that don't know, procedural means that every time you play it, the system builds it slightly differently. And so as a level designer, how do you think about that? Because, procedurally, it's kind of doing a lot of your work. Do you give it rules that it must kind of abide by?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Basically, we're not saying that everything is magically generated every time. Procedural is really about creating this ecosystem where everything connects to each other, and those rules will eventually come up with a different incursion. But really, if we went with this route, is really to make sure that getting the proper balance of unknown versus handcrafted, making sure that you get this challenges that are going to be good for your team.
We talked about the fact that Rainbow Six is such a storied history on Xbox and certainly many other platforms. What were some of the things you had to think about bringing the Rainbow Six experience into, to kind of a PvE experience? Because you're taking on the, let's be clear, your operators are taking on the AI. What were some of the things that you had to kind of think about from the original Rainbow Six experience?
Oh, so many things. I mean, first and foremost, we were about like going from the Rainbow Six Siege, making sure that the operators that we pick do fit in this PVE environment, as well as now that we're facing a PVE environment, it made sense that for the first time in Siege, we can go with leveling up operators and making sure that you acquire more things the more you play, unlocking new weapons, really growing as an operator and acquiring new gadgets with the React tech and everything. There was huge amount of stuff that we can bring from the how do we call it, heritage of Rainbow to this new experience here, facing this new alien parasite threat.
I talked a little bit about a moment ago about how when I went in, I was kind of destroyed. We the team and I went in, and Jeff and I went in, and a couple others went in. And it was just we were too fast. What are some of the early tips you can give folks that maybe are new to the Rainbow Six franchise on how they should approach this?
Many things. I mean, take the time to observe, making sure that you choose the proper operator for the proper threat. I mean, if you know you're going to face off against some objective which are more defense related, some operators might shine a little bit more. For example, if you go in a defense scenario, Tachenka is going to be great. If you go more for an offense scenario, it's going to be great to bring in your team Lion to be able to scan enemies through walls. Take your time on all the walls. Make sure that you take the time to look at the environment. You have a timer, but the timer is pretty generous. You have time to do your things. At the same time, don't forget your secondary gadgets. Sometimes a smoke grenade well placed is going to make a big difference, or a flash stun grenade. What else can we think for players? I mean, there's so many things. Of course, lining up the proper shot, going for a headshot is going to make a make or break. It's going to be a lot easier to do it before the alert goes on, but once the alert goes off, I would say bring your A game, spam things that you can do to make sure that you try to gain back control as much as possible. And don't forget, the name of the game is Extraction. If you get out of control, sometimes the best solution is to extract.
Yeah, or, that's being kind. Sometimes the best solution is to turn around and run. So I really appreciate it. It's great. I mean, I know folks are excited about it. It's now available for Xbox Game Pass and a lot of other platforms as well. So check that out. And I'm really excited to welcome Rainbow Six to Game Pass. And of course, Rainbow Six on Xbox is such a great experience. Mark, really appreciate your time today. And hopefully you have a great day. And thanks again. And congratulations on launch.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. And look forward to play with a lot of players very soon.
Nobody Saves the World from Drinkbox Studios is out now on Xbox, Xbox Game Pass, and Steam. And joining us today, we have Ian Campbell, the lead designer. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the game, Drinkbox Studios, and your role as lead designer?
Sure. Okay. I'll start with the game. So, Nobody Saves the World. I'll try and tackle it all. Nobody Saves the World. It's the newest game from Drinkbox Studios. It's kind of like an action RPG where you're constantly getting access to like more and more of these wild and wacky forms. There's like almost 20 in the game. Some of them are like more standard, like a ranger or a guard, but many of them are more wild, like a robot or a horse or a slug, and you can switch between them at any time. You can like pull a move off a dragon and give it to the horse. So you have like a fire-breathing horse. Like they can all be customized with each other's moves. So there's a lot of like freedom and experimentation in the game. As for Drinkbox, we're a Toronto studio. We've been making games for, way over 10 years, maybe even like 15 or more. We just like making games that excite us and are kind of different. And yeah.
That's awesome. I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about the different forms that you can take. So I haven't gotten super far in the game yet, but I've seen other people's playing as like a horse, a bodybuilder, a mermaid. Do you have like a different form in particular that's your favorite or that you like playing as?
I really like the horse. The horse it's pretty weird because, for example, it's a horse, so it has to attack by like kicking backwards with its legs, so it needs a lot of like fiddly precision. But if you can do that, it like kicks so hard that it like blows enemies away into other enemies and causes like big chain reactions. It also has my favorite side quest in the game. Like, many different forms have little like secret interactions or quests they can do. And the horses is all about like falling in love. So there's like a horse love interest you can discover, which pops up a few times in the game.
Love it. Romantic game. I did find the gameplay really satisfying, like just accomplishing the quests and the progression. And I noticed that there are some little terms in there that I've seen from like tabletop games or like Magic. I'm curious what kind of games your team plays or what kind of games you're inspired by.
Oh man. I mean, we play so many different games, which is great because I actually don't play that many RPGs. So I would go to the other designers and be like, please help me, give me information. And they would, because they play so many, like, like Hades and Binding of Isaac or Diablo or like Path of Exile, stuff like that. I'm into like Bayonetta and character action games and stuff. One of the main inspirations for this one was Final Fantasy Tactics, like the number of jobs and the way you could customize them in that game. And maybe even like a silly one is like Jetpack Joyride, where like you're constantly getting little like quests and rewards for playing the game.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. And I think it's great that you guys all play a different variety of games. And so that kind of experience and knowledge lends its way to a very well-rounded experience. So I love that. I haven't gotten the chance to play co-op yet, but I noticed there is an online co-op for the game too. Were you guys thinking, like, is there a different way that people should play when they play together, or how did you imagine the co-op experience coming out?
I don't think there's a like prescribed best way to play co-op. It's just part of what makes the game so good is that there's so much freedom to experiment, and that goes for co-op too. Like, all the forms to progress, they're doing these little what we call quests, like challenges, like, oh, hit 5 guys at once with this move, or like find a clever way to inflict this kind of damage. So in co-op, if both people are playing as the same form, they could tackle those quests together. Like, the rat has to kill like 10 poisoned guys, so like one player could focus on poisoning people and the other player could focus on killing them. But at the same time, if you're both different forms, you could just kind of do your own thing and maybe even have like a friendly competition of like trying to steal like a quest completion objective before your friend does or something.
Okay, I'll have to try it out. I'd also like to say I just really enjoy the ridiculousness of the game. Like some of the NPCs and the signs, just like these like little like humor and like parts of personality of the game. Like Randy the Rad, every time I talk to him is just, I don't know. Do you have a favorite like NPC or... Yeah. I
think we all love Randy the Rad at the studio. He's pretty great. I think Marty Joe. I don't know if you've met Marty Joe yet.
Not yet.
He's like okay, well, only minor spoilers. He comes in pretty early, but like he's a walking, talking hammer. He's like a person who's been cursed to be a hammer. He's a very emotional hammer, and I really enjoy his antics.
Okay, good. I'll keep an eye out for him then.
Please.
Do you have any other tips or other things that new players should keep an eye out for in the game?
Tips. I think mostly just like the quest system that I was describing of how forms progress. I think it's pretty non-standard. So the more you pay attention to it, the quicker you're going to progress and the quicker you're going to access more and more of the forms and like the forms abilities and like all the juicy stuff that makes the game extra fun. So I guess my biggest tip would just be like, just take a few extra minutes, focus on that quest system and understanding it, and you'll be like setting yourself up for a great time.
Okay, awesome. So where should people go to find out more information on the game or share their feedback and their experiences?
Oh, hey, I mean, you mean our Twitter is always open. We have a Discord. Yeah, pretty much anywhere with our name on it.
Okay, cool. Do you have anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
I guess just, that it's such a great opportunity to be on here talking about it and to like release a game to be played by so many people. I just hope everyone really enjoys it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. Folks, recommend you try out Nobody Saves the World. It's on Steam, Xbox Game Pass. Thank you again, Ian.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ian. And thanks, Marc-Andre, for sharing about your new games. Nobody Saves the World, Rainbow Six Extraction, both available on Xbox Game Pass right now. Game Pass for PC. Go play it. Why are you watching this show? Oh, wait, because we have other people here. Thanks for doing those interviews.
It's always fun to talk to game developers. It's great to get back in the swing of things. Rebecca, thank you for handling that one. And Jeff, we got a couple we're working on for you, Jeff, but they have to be Yakuza based, apparently, according to your contract. The games, not the criminal organization.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Oh, that's what I say on my Twitter account. I beat Last Judgment. I'm still thinking about it.
By the way, did you notice on Twitter when we made the Activision announcement, I changed the header of my. I mean, nobody even looks at Twitter headers anymore. I think 'cause they're always looking at it. Well, I changed it to Pitfall, and it looks awesome.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, there was a kid in my neighborhood, and I grew up like Nintendo, but like some people still had Ataris. And there was a kid in my school whose dad worked for Activision. I was in Philly, so I'm assuming it must have been like a local sales rep or something like that. But he had this weird Atari, and I guess this is what like the dev kits must have looked like at the time, where there was like the cartridge was always stuck in it, but he could remove and add chips in and out of it, and he had all of the Activision games. And Activision games were like amazing. Wow. I mean, even back in the Atari days, because they had Pitfall, they had
Kaboom.
Enduro, Kaboom. There was like a lot of them. They were one of the.
There was a boxing game.
Was that them? I don't know. Because the Activision cartridges even looked different. They had like the rainbow stripe on them and everything. So it was an interesting time. But I just remember I didn't know that was my first brush with the games industry.
Wow, I never did. I did not know that. But anyway, so it's we've got a little bit more news here. We're going to wrap things up. Before we get, actually, we'll talk about this right now, if you don't mind, Jeff. Before we get to the news, is one of the things
that was the news.
Oh, that was the news.
We already did the news. It was a pretty big news week.
Okay. Well, we have the cool Cuphead stuff.
Well, yeah, that.
But we'll go to that in just a second. But one of the things I want to talk about is I was talking about this over the holiday break between the middle of December and middle of January. Is I migrated the podcast over to Anchor backend, which kind of feeds all of the podcast services like Apple and Google and some of the bigger ones. So I'll put a link to that as well. But more importantly, if you're a Spotify subscriber, you can now watch this in video. This is one of the very few podcasts available as video, which just kind of makes people go, huh? Because the Spotify client is built around listening to audio and playlists and so forth. So go over there and check that out. And then if you sometimes, like this past show, if you're watching it on the client on your phone or your tablet, you can scroll down and I asked a question about what people are looking for in 2022. So you can actually reply there. So doing a little bit of interactivity. So don't miss that.
Did anyone answer? Did we know if Tay Swift watched the last episode?
I know you brought that up last time, and I don't know if Taylor Swift, actually watched it. I can't speak for her and or her people, but I can tell you that we had quite a few people listening to the show. And as I scroll down here, we had a lot of people. The question was, what game you're looking forward to in 2022? Rainbow Six Extraction, Scorn, Starfield. Right. Jeff is trolling me by asking if this feature is going to be used by any of the listeners. Hitman Trilogy, which we just talked about.
Larry, you have to read the name of the person who said it because that's the payoff. The payoff is,
the Champ Cave, Rainbow
Taylor
Six
Swift
Extraction.
in Nashville or T Swift in Nashville. We don't know who it was. It could be it could be Thomas Swift.
Marvin Jacoby, Scorn, Agent of Tech, Starfield. I like for Pancakes, Halo Infinite, which is all right. I guess that. Let's see what else. Pasta Nick, Starfield, Abdullah, Starfield. So yeah, there's a lot of folks there. We're going to be doing some interactive things. And if you actually go over to the page I linked to on social to Anchor, you can actually leave us a voice message. So send us a voice message. I don't even know why we're doing that.
Play them?
I can play a couple of them if they're decent and kind.
Well, if we're asking people to leave a message, we gotta. What's the hook? You got to think it through, Larry.
I have already thought it through. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like people to leave a voice message. Rebecca. What would you say to Rebecca's mom?
Oh my gosh, Larry!
We did not rehearse this.
How is your mom, by the way? Is she still reading the comments and listening to the show?
She is, and she said that she's happy to send a voice message. I think I just have to figure out how to do it so that I can tell her how to do it. So anyway, stay tuned.
Just feel free, if you want to. So the question I'm asking you, like last week, what game you're looking forward to in 2022? If you want to send us a voice message, feel free to do it that. You can either drop it there or leave us a voice message. But long story short is doing a lot of things on the back end that really won't impact you, but you're probably going to see this podcast popping up in different areas, and it's going to be a much higher profile. So stay tuned. It's going to be exciting 2022 for the podcast.
So I've got one, and it can be next week then. I want to know, and this is based on the fact of a trailer that came out also on the same day. It was a very busy Tuesday. What is your favorite video game show? And so I've been watching The Witcher, and I saw a trailer for Cuphead show, which here it is, which looks amazing. Hit that play button, smash it.
I am. Look at it. I mean, we don't have the audio up here, so we can talk over it, but it looks.
It's funny. They have like very New York accents. It's like, hey, Cuphead, what you doing? You're walking here.
What does that even mean?
See, I did the voice acting. Actually, there was someone. One of the characters really, and I need to look at the IMDb, but one of them sounded like Patrick from SpongeBob. So we really should look and see who are the voice actors for this. But it comes, it debuts, and you'll see at the end of the trailer. I want to say it's February 18th.
Yep.
And it's a testament to how great Cuphead, the game looks, that it looks a whole lot like the cartoon. And look, that's like even a mechanic from the game. Like if you're playing co-op and one of the characters is killed, the other character can grab the ghost. The other player
there's the devil from the game.
Give them back to life. Yeah, and the dice.
There he is.
The casino master.
As if on cue.
Right there. Exactly. I've watched this trailer a couple times, but it's pretty awesome for MDHR, the good folks who made the game, to be able to expand into transmedia.
Well, it's funny because if you think about it, and I had them on last month, it was so great to talk to them, talking about their DLC coming out later this year. I mean, this is a video game that was based on old animation style, and now this is a show based on a video game from an old animation. So it's kind of like this big circle. Oh, there's a little I Love Lucy action there. Anyway,
it's full circle.
It looks great. I never actually finished Cuphead. I got way too frustrated halfway through. So this is really cool. Like I always really enjoyed the art style and like kind of the humor of the game. So it's nice to see it come to life.
Did you watch a lot of cartoons growing up, Rebecca?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't know if that. Some people just don't. Like my life, my sisters and I still to this day, many years later, still drop Bugs Bunny references and Warner Brothers references into our. Because I mean, those are just classic. Jeff, you disagree?
Yeah.
I think everyone's definition of classic is different. I'm sure kids 20 years from now will be dropping Coco Melon references into speech.
Right.
But like, whereas my kid probably does, other than Space Jam 2, probably does, or a New Legacy.
Well, there's also something about, and the Max Fleischer cartoons, which is what Cuphead is based on, and some of those Warner Brothers, they were very, very politically incorrect, right? They were some of them were like, what? Oh, yeah. What are they doing? It's very, very interesting. But anyway, it's. I mean, I'm a huge fan of animation. I remember when Roger Rabbit came out, and I went to see that, and I was like, oh wow, putting live action with animation. So I'm a big animation fan. I have some animated cells in here. I have one right over here hanging in my office, which is an original from a Disney. I can't really show it for some insurance reasons, but it's a Disney cell that I have, and it's an original. Okay. I'm very proud of it. So anyway, so I love animation.
Yeah, same. I think I grew up on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and I can't see an omelet on a menu without going omelette du fromage from Dexter's Lab. So.
That's very good. That's very good. Continue on with the French theme of our show here. Anyway, so we talked about Spotify. We talked about Netflix. We talked about what a big week it's been in news for us this week in the tech industry. So we're looking forward to talking about that in the future. All right, we're going to let you guys go because I know you got, by the way, did you have some pictures in the back there, Rebecca? I noticed the lights have some nice photos back there.
Yeah, I did. I'm working on it slowly. I actually have a shelf and this Lord of the Rings poster that I'm going to hang up. But funny thing is the shelf didn't come with any screws. So I need to, I have some more shopping to do. So.
Okay. You have screw shopping to do more specifically. Now,
just tape it up there. It'll be fine.
Now, Jeff and Rebecca, I know the answer to this because we are on a separate thread at work. Should we talk Wordle at all?
Let's talk Wordle.
Oof, man.
Are you? I know.
Who introduced us to all of this?
Well, I'm the one who started the thread at the office on our Teams chat. But I know that we were kind of all playing it independently. Like Jeff, I think you were playing it, and then I started playing. I don't know. I just think it was one of those. It was like a Spider-Man thing. You're playing it, I'm playing it. You're playing. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So, right.
What I've learned is you all wake up much earlier than I do, and it puts a lot of pressure on me because, well, Rebecca, you're on the East Coast, but by the time I wake up, there's the chat already there. Like I got it in 3 turns, and I'm like, well, great.
Green, now if I don't green, get yellow, black, turns, I'm
dumb.
Yeah,
so,
well, I mean, you guys, Larry, what time do you wake up? Because there have been some times where I'm like just on my phone waking up and Larry's already sent the team message. I'm like, do you sleep?
Well, you have to remember, I have a 4-year-old and she was on the East Coast, so she had a timing adjustment. But usually I usually get up at 3 a.m. sometimes and I'll what, Jeff?
What? Why? Casual. Why would you wake up at 3 a.m.?
Because, I don't know, I got to go to the restroom, I got to get some water, and when I'm sitting there, I'm doing Wordle.
And then you do your Wordle?
Yes! And then I go back to bed.
That is terrible sleep hygiene. Like, if I look at my phone, that's it, I'll be up. I'm just worried about you, Larry.
But, like, did you all do today's?
Yes.
Okay, so today, and this show will air a couple days, so we're recording this on Wednesday when it was Point, P-O-I-N-T, and what was do you remember your first word, Rebecca, that you started with? What's your seed word?
It changes. I'm trying not to. I mean, maybe I shouldn't. I think I used learn.
Okay.
And like I only got one letter that was kind of out of order. And then I can't remember what I did next. Actually, let me pull it up. But
because
the one that really got me was Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
The one that really got me was Shire, I think, over the weekend. I mentioned this in our Teams chat, but so my roommate also does Wordle. I got her onto it. And after it was Shire, I was like, I don't know if any non-Lord of the Rings Americans would get this one because it's not a common word that we use. And sure enough, she's really smart. Like she gets most of them, but she didn't get this one.
This one blanked her. Did she get it at all, or did she not get it at all? Yeah, it's a tough one.
No. Yeah. But anyway, what was your guys' starting word?
Well, for today it was plane, Plane, and I got first and fourth. Yeah, fourth, and then I went to plane to panda to point. So, how'd you do, Jeff? What's your seed word?
I always start with stand.
Okay.
This is what I usually pick, and then I usually pick something that begins with the M and has a bunch of vowels in it. Sometimes I'll use if I'm not making any progress, a burner word where I'll just ignore the greens and yellows, and I'm like, just to get I'll pick a word like mourn or something, M-O-U-R-N. Something that might has a lot of popular letters that might not have shown up in that first group. Just to give me an idea, and sometimes I'll strike gold, especially if I hit turn 4 and I'm still nowhere near it. Then drastic action
Hail Mary.
is required. Yep, I've got a few on turn 6.
People have really different strategies for this because I actually do that normally. I don't guess if I get one if I get the green one to say this is in the right spot, I'll usually, unless I know what it is already, I'll keep going with words that don't include that letter just so that I can kind of figure out what else isn't in
what's on
that
the board.
word, and then I kind of save it for my final guess. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think as a result of this, please ignore the earlier conversation. This is the question. What is your Wordle start word? That's the question we're going to pose. You can look for it. So ignore everything else. And you can see it. If you're on Spotify, scroll down as you're listening or watching the show, and you'll see a little thing pop up. Let us know what your Wordle start word is. How's that sound?
I think you should start pulling a random entrant. I don't know if you can DM these people, but I don't know if prizing can happen. But that would be really fun.
Yeah. So
look into it.
But yeah,
no commitment for this week.
One of my start words is teams. But again, there's no. Man. Yeah, no, it just kind of popped in. It worked for me last week. I don't remember what it was. I wish I could go back in this. I should find, I should find I should reach out to the guy who invented, I think it's Andrew.
Get him on the show.
Get him on the show. Yeah, Andrew, let's see if we could, if you know him, tell him we want him on the show. But anyway, so that's our Wordle conversation. Anyway, we gotta wrap up here because I know we've got to run to meetings. We have our regular jobs to do. But Rebecca, I appreciate you joining us 3 hours ahead in New York City and keep up there. Hopefully you're staying healthy out there in New York.
I'm trying, pizza diet, but also getting a lot of exercise. So it kind of balances out.
That's good. All right. Well, good.
Sounds about right.
Jeff, I hope you're staying healthy as well.
Not even close.
All right. That's I can attest, nor am I. So anyway, thanks, gang. Thanks for downloading the show. And dear listeners and viewers, thank you for listening and sending us feedback. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop something down in the comments. If you're watching this on Spotify or listening anywhere else, go over to Spotify and let us know what your Wordle start word is. So we'd love to hear you. Teams, is it spork? I don't know. Let me know.
Spork. That would be a good one.
All right, gang. We'll talk to anything before we go, gang. Rebecca, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No.
All right. Jeffrey, over to you.
Please don't leave any voice messages for Rebecca's mom.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah, actually,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. No Rebecca's mom voicemails, but tell us what your Wordle start word is, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great time, everybody. Bye-bye.